like. And
just shut up and let's do it.
Okay, doing it.
Welcome to the Primal Edge Health podcast. I'm Tristan and this is Jessica. You can find us at primaledgehealth.com. Here's my bone broth with heavy cream and butter, spices, and a little bit of salt. Kind of my breakfast. This, and I had some eggs before, some pickled eggs, which were really, really good.
Is there turmeric? It looks yellow.
Oh yeah, and there's turmeric in there too.
Nice.
Turmeric and black pepper. And other spices. Secret spices.
Awesome.
Alright, so we're just gonna fire off some questions now. We're doing a little Q&A. I'll let Jessica start. She can pick the first question out of the list of awesome questions we got here.
Alright, well I think it's a good time for Tristan to really come clean on this one. Patrick brought it up and he asks, are you on steroids? Are you using steroids?
Am I using steroids? He's joking, obviously.
Joking. But seriously, he goes on and asks, in your opinion, would a ketogenic diet with moderate amounts of protein work for building muscle? I mean,
muscles, plural.
Muscles.
Muscles, plural.
I mean, something like a 1 to 1...
1 to 1.3 grams a kilo of relatively lean body mass, or do most people require... All right, so it's a question about protein. All right, so this is a good question, which I've already covered like a lot in several other videos. I actually wrote an entire article about finding your optimal protein intake on a ketogenic diet. But let me say that 1 to 1.3 grams per kilo of relatively lean body mass might be, I don't know, to play it safe, you might want to go a little bit more than that. Do I think that you need 1 gram per pound of body weight in order to build muscle? No. I'm saying like this is the common myth that you need a gram per pound of body weight in order to build muscle.
Got it.
I think that that's an overestimation of how much you need. And when you look at the actual studies they're referencing, they really don't show that you need any more than like 0.75 grams per pound of lean body mass. That being said, some people like more protein. Some people feel more comfortable. They'll get psychosomatic gains if they eat more protein just because that's what they've programmed themselves with. Patrick, I would say start with maybe 1.5 grams per kilogram. And you don't really need any more than like 1.8 grams per kilo. I mean, even that's more than you need. For instance, myself, over the last few months, I've probably stuck to around 100. I'd say on average, I'm eating maybe about 100 grams of protein a day for the last few months. One pretty sizable meal of fish, and then usually some beef or something else. And some days I'll go over. Some days I'll probably go like as high as 160 grams. And I weigh 160 pounds now, and I've gained probably 3 to 5 pounds of muscle in the last like 4 months doing this. And there's other factors involved. If you periodize diet and training, you get really good results. And it's not just because of how much protein and what there's a lot of other factors that come into play, but you don't need like a lot of protein in order to build muscle. So 1.5 grams per kilo might be a good place to start. See how it feels. Make sure you're getting in enough fats. If you're not getting enough calories in, you're not going to build muscle. If you're not stimulating muscle growth, if you're not working out correctly, if you're doing the same exercises over and over again, not progressing, not switching it up enough, not hitting muscles from different angles, you're not going to see good gains. So you don't need as much protein as most people probably say you do, but you don't want to go too low because you don't want to, put any stumbling blocks for your gains there.
Tanner asks, do you have any...
Wait, no, I get the next question. Here's the next question. When is Jessica's recipe book coming out?
Hey, no.
Going to be available. Will it be similar, simple recipes like the macro broccoli meal?
It definitely will be
Mark?
similar, simple recipes, just like the macro broccoli meal.
Well, you got like a whole bunch of gourmet stuff too, so I don't know if it's going to be hard to word the title.
It's about halfway done being compiled. I have the recipes. There's going to be fish and seafood, some nose to tail recipes with organ meats.
She's been doing like crazy gourmet stuff. It's kind of been ridiculous lately how much good food she's been making. And I don't even get to try it all, but yeah, it's hard to put a date.
There's no set date. Yeah, we don't have a set date yet. I mean, as soon as possible. Just gotta focus on it, work it out.
Yeah, it's like you want it to be the best possible content that you can put out there for people. So I think it's pretty exciting. It'll be interesting to see when it's actually ready, though. All right, here's a question from Matt. Matt Buchanan asks, I'm in the first few days of eating a keto diet. I want to know what happens if I eat complex carbs like protein porridge or sweet potatoes. Will it reset my body's ketogenic state, and would it take days to keto adapt again? And all right, so that's Matt from Liverpool, England. That's a good question. If you're in your first few days of eating a keto diet, though, you should probably have already read that you want to keep carbs like that out of it. Sweet potatoes, rice, carbohydrates that are starchy and are not going to be ideal. So you want to avoid those types of carbohydrates. The carbs you want to eat are leafy green vegetables. You want to get all your carbs from veggies.
Or sauerkraut, broccoli, cauliflower, cruciferous vegetables.
Yeah, I mean, you can even include
zucchini.
A lot of people include berries later on, like lower sugar fruits, but you want to stay away from, root vegetables, tubers, and rice and stuff like that. So especially in the beginning, Matt, avoid that for a pretty long time. I'd say wait till a few months till you start experimenting with adding carbohydrates in pre-workout, post-workout, however you want to play with it. I would say give it some time till you adapt.
Tanner asks, do you have any advice on keto in order to optimize performance for high-intensity interval training, such as timing meals? Should one up the protein and fat consumption, or does it all just depend?
Does it all just depend? Tanner, it all just depends. Next. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well, look, I mean, it does depend on your individual response to the stimulus. So if it's a high enough stimulation, if you're doing high intensity interval training for the rush, then you're probably pushing it pretty far. And you may need to increase your caloric load. You might need to increase your protein just a little bit, increase your fats a bit to make up for it. As far as, optimizing performance for HIIT, I would say doing your HIIT training, obviously you're not going to want to eat a large protein meal and then do your HIIT training. Mm-hmm. So probably want to time your meals to be at least an hour or so before, or possibly do the HIIT training in a fasted state. But now this is going to be contextual as well, because a lot of people are not going to be wanting to do any exercise in a fasted state. A lot of people I would recommend would eat breakfast first thing in the morning, right when they wake up, within a half an hour. But this is contextual and depends on your goals and where you're at. But I would say if you're doing very intense, high-intensity interval training, in order to optimize your response to that, you may need to increase the caloric load a little bit, which would mean, increasing your protein by a few grams and your fat by a few grams in order to make up for that energy gap that you're going to be creating there. Can I pick one now?
Sure.
All right.
Pick.
Here's another one. T-War, I'm watching you. T-War, I don't know if you're a man or a woman. I'm going to find out. T-War says, Jessica is such a gorgeous woman. You are a lucky man. I'd like to know how keto affects her skin and what's her skincare regimen. So T-War is fully hitting on you right now, and that's fine.
I'm sure it's a
woman.
Right.
I'm comfortable with this. Why is your skin so awesome? And what is your skincare regimen? This sounds like a plant question. Sounds like I made
I made up my own profile.
I made your own profile.
Jessica, you're so great.
This is like a Durian Ryder style Q&A where we Durian Ryder, why are you so awesome, mate?
So to be honest, I don't do much. I don't have a big personal care routine. The only thing
it's
I do
diet and lifestyle, right?
Well, yeah, diet and lifestyle. But as far as topical applications, I don't wear makeup. I don't do the cleansers or toners or.
You don't wear makeup?
Don't wear makeup. Don't use shampoo. Don't wear deodorant.
How do you feel confident and good about yourself when you look in the mirror?
Work in progress.
Wow. No, but seriously though, makeup. I mean, I'd say not wearing makeup is such a huge thing.
It is a big thing.
And also stress and stuff like that. Think about Taylor. My sister, for instance, shout out to Taylor if you're watching. Sorry for using you as an example. When she gets really stressed, she breaks out. Her skin, she gets really strong acne. And she was going through this stressful period working and stuff like that. Every time we talked to her, she was looking puffier and puffier.
Yeah, the inflammation goes up.
You just see like the inflammation in people's face when they're real stressed out, and it's a systemic, chronic stress situation. It'll create acne and whatnot. But I'm all about promoting women not wearing makeup. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Can you inspire some women to take freaking makeup off their face? Stop painting your face. You're probably beautiful underneath there.
That's the thing. It's like we were created as beautiful beings, and we all have our own individual beauty. And there's, you look at the magazines and the covers, and you're making funny faces. I'm chewing on. Speaking of beauty,
I'm chewing on black pepper seeds. Let me move out of the frame. Hurry up. Hurry up and inspire everybody to never wear makeup again.
The more you become more comfortable with who you are and how you were created and what you look like, the less you need to appeal to other people's constructs and other people's or your own perceptions of other people's
all an illusion.
That's the thing.
You just think you're not beautiful. You just think that you're not good enough, and you look in the mirror and you've got all these crazy thoughts going on and all this self-deprecation and the internal critic is just constantly blah, 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 blah.
And anything in the magazine or a movie, it's going to be
off.
It's going to be hyper. There's so much attention onto it to make it look in a very, very specific, manipulated way that it's not even real. So why do you spend your whole life trying to be something that's not real? You just be you, and you'll be beautiful, and it'll come from the inside
What
out.
are the magazines selling that you see all these images, like Glamour magazine? I remember my mom was really into all these magazines when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And she would read like Glamour and Vogue and Cosmo, and these magazines were always around. And it's like, it's such a joke. It's so ridiculous. These airbrushed pictures. I mean, it was even before Photoshop was out there, airbrushing these images. The women look completely fake. Yep. They're just caked with gunk all over their face, toxic makeup.
And those aren't a role model for women anyway. They don't have any values. I mean, that's sort of a generic statement.
It's about promoting empty images, empty images. And if you start if you want to cake makeup on your face, what are you creating there? You're trying to create this illusion.
It becomes a mask that you try to hide behind.
You try to hide behind the mask, and then there's layers and layers and layers of this get layered on our consciousness, and we get so far behind the mask, so far behind the illusion that we can't even see. We have very little connection left to our own true essence. So it's just about allow yourself to be vulnerable and to show your skin. What is
It's super liberating once you start to take the steps. If you can just do baby steps, stop wearing heavy eyeliner all the time. Stop caking your whole skin with the foundation and stop putting on blush.
Yeah, what do you think that's doing when you put all this crap on our face? Women, when you put all this crap on your face, men don't do this. Men do other stupid crap. When you put all this stuff on your face and it's closing up your pores, it's clogging it up with these whatever
carcinogenic,
parabens
fake,
and just
plastics.
All kinds of weird crap. I mean, essentially caking plastic onto your face, and it doesn't make you look prettier. It really doesn't. It doesn't make you look any prettier. When you look at skin that has makeup on it close up, it looks all weird. It looks deformed, little hairs. It looks so weird. No, I remember being in I was telling her these stories that I remember being in 8th grade and 9th grade, and girls start wearing makeup all the time, and they just put so much on. They're beautiful girls who don't need it, and then you look at their face close up, and it just looks grotesque.
Or if it's bad makeup and then it starts to melt.
She didn't even wear makeup on our wedding day. It was awesome.
That's true.
It was the best. So.
But when I met Tristan, I did wear makeup, and he was the one. He really helped me.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I do pretty consistently with my skin is I put on a homemade tallow lotion that I make with rendered beef tallow mixed with olive oil, and you can put in essential oils. There's a recipe up on our website. It's really easy to make. Super easy.
Cacao butter is a good one too.
Yeah. Cacao butter. Coconut oil is nice.
Yeah. Coconut oil. Everyone's got coconut oil around if they're doing a keto diet.
If you want to get fancy, you can look up recipes online for a scrub. Get a sensitive skin scrub for your face, and then I made a coffee scrub that's nice for legs, and it's supposed to invigorate the blood flow and whatnot. Fun stuff to play around with.
Nice. All right. So then, Marcus asks another cutting fat loss question: is it better to use fats such as olive oil and butter rather than coconut oil when you're cutting? My thinking being that coconut oil, being an MCT oil, will be burnt rather than body fat during exercise. Okay, so I kind of get what you're getting at there. You're saying that you may have you have this inclination that maybe using MCT oils like coconut oil would downregulate the burning of body fat because it's so quickly metabolized and it burns in a much different way than our body fat, which is mostly stored as long chain fatty acids, long chain triglycerides. I don't really know. That's a good question, and I think it would need to be explored more.
I mean,
My hunch would say that it wouldn't make such a big difference, but switching things up all the time and playing with little variables like this is always fun, and you can get results like that. So, I mean, try it.
Exactly.
Try switching your fat sources for a while. See what kind of results your body gives you. But the thing when you do something like this is you have to do your best to keep everything else the same. So you only are changing one variable at a time, so you can kind of track your progress. But yeah, that's a really good question. I know that I periodize my diet to go with my goals and my training. So the types of fats, the amounts of fats, the types of training, the amounts of training, the periodization of frequency of meals, the periodization of the types of foods that you're eating. I mean, it's all about switching things up.
It's like this constant dance and evolution. As you grow and you try new things and your body's changing and it's going to affect you differently at different times of your development.
Yeah.
So you can always revisit things that you think maybe didn't work, but you've heard good things about, keep trying.
We just don't know enough about, like, to scientifically say, like, yes, this oil would be better for cutting. We don't really know enough about that, in my opinion. I don't think we can really make assertions like that.
Well, and can you really say that kind of statement? It's
there could be gene polymorphisms.
Every single person?
Yeah, think about, exactly. There could be gene polymorphisms where you are more likely to be genetically inclined to do better on MCT type fats because what your ancestors did at some period of time, and somebody else may be different. So yeah, it all depends.
You want to do Kevin's question?
But yeah, I would love you to try it out and let me know how it goes, because we've all got different responses to different foods, and you just have to make little changes to variables like that and switch it up and know when to switch it up. So yeah, Jessica's got another question here.
From Kevin. He says, I would be interested in hearing about the magical carb threshold. I know it is different for everyone, but will eating all your carbs in one meal kick you out of ketosis versus spreading them throughout the day?
It's not going to be a magic threshold for everybody, but what you have to do is just experiment with it. I mean, eating all your carbs in one meal, depending on what type of carbs you're going to be eating,
that's what I'm
how
thinking.
much food you're eating.
Kind of carbs.
Yeah, you might be out of ketosis for a period of time after a meal. Is that a problem? Is that going to interrupt your fat loss long term? Probably not. I mean, if you're doing intermittent fasting and you do one meal a day, then you're going to be eating over 100 grams of protein in one meal and all of your carbohydrates in one meal. You're not going to be in ketosis right after that meal. But you're going to be fasting for how many hours? 20 hours or something in between that. So yeah, it's going to be contextual. But what you got to do is try different modalities. Stick to it for a few weeks. Stick to a 3 meals a day and keep your protein in whatever increments, 40-gram increments, and see what your response is. Stay isocaloric, and then try a different scheme where you're doing, 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day, and see how that goes. It's all about periodizing these different elements of it, and knowing when to switch it up. And then once you understand your body's response to a certain stimulus, then you've got that tool in your toolbox, and it's likely that you will have a similar response in the future. Although things do change and your body's fluid, there's so many inputs that are actually affecting your response to this stimulus, such as diet and training, that knowing what to control, what to change, and when to change it is crucial. So you gotta kind of test it out, Kevin.
And do you think the amount of time that he's been in a ketogenic diet is going to depend on how the carbs affect him? If he's been in a ketosis for longer.
The longer you're doing a keto diet, the more you're think about when you're walking a trail up to your house every single day. The weeds aren't growing on that trail. It's a beaten path. It's easy to walk, or think about a dirt road or a motorcycle trail or something. You're walking down a beaten path. that's been there for a while. That's, you know, it had heavy use. It's a lot easier than trekking through the jungle where you got to cut crap down with a machete, and it just takes longer to move through it. So that might be a horrible analogy.
But it's sort of like, it's making me think about the argument of carb cycling, right? So it's like, stay in a ketogenic diet longer, and then you'll be less influenced and less affected by the carbs, and you'll be quicker to go back into ketosis, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you've been on a ketogenic diet for a long time, having a high carbohydrate meal here and there is going to affect you much differently than an individual who, like Matt earlier, who asked about eating complex carbs within the first few days of his diet.
There you go.
So yeah, essentially, you got to just kind of tool around with it and play around with it, and it will be contextual. But knowing when to change it and what to change is really important to getting good results consistently. Here's a question. Kim says, this isn't even a question, or it is a question. It's a statement question. Isn't keto diet with all the fats, oils risky for those who have high cholesterol levels and coronary artery disease and have had angina or a heart attack? We see where you're coming from, why many people may perceive this due to their preconceived notions and what they've been taught, but no, it's not dangerous. In fact, it decreases inflammation. Ketone bodies have been found, exogenous ketones, studies that have been done with beta-hydroxybutyrate, infusion of that into the bloodstream, has shown that it decreases cholesterol. So ketones decrease cholesterol levels, decrease inflammations, so pretty much most of your biomarkers should be greatly improved by a keto diet, but that's not to say that everybody responds well to it. It's not for everybody. Some people might have negative effects from a keto diet and could go the opposite way, but no, it's not. Fats and oils are not known to cause heart disease and heart attacks, and this is kind of an old myth that's being eroded slowly and surely. But a lot of people just laugh when they hear that now because they've known for so long that saturated fats, animal fats, whatever, language you want to throw around it, do not cause heart disease, and fat is not the enemy.
Anna, when will you have maca powder available on your website, or is there anything else you recommend?
Okay, so Anna asks about maca powder. Now, yeah, we should have maca soon. We're gonna have a real special deal pretty soon. We're gonna have 5 kilo bags of maca at a really ridiculously low price. So people will be able to buy essentially a year's supply of maca, or throw down with a friend or two and have a bunch of maca. Maca is really, really fun to play with, especially if you've got quite a bit of it. If you're not using like 1,000 milligrams at a time, and you're using more like 15 grams, 30 grams of maca at a time, becomes really fun to play with and really fun to use in recipes and cooking and stuff.
The recipe aspect, you can use a half a cup or something, make like a low carb cake or a pancake or something.
Yeah, so we don't really normally talk about like these types of recipes because people go crazy with the like low carb cupcakes and this and that, and it can be problematic for some people. But yeah, you can make cakes with maca, pancakes, stuff like that. It's really versatile and it's really fun to play with, and it's very, very potent adaptogen. Like it's really, really, it's very fun to play with. It's something that a lot of people actually will feel the effects of on a daily basis. And it has noticeable, markable effects on health markers and prostate size, stuff like that. Bone mineral density. But we'll have a special announcement pretty soon about maca and what we're going to be doing with that. All right, Lance says, what was your biggest internal hurdle to overcome when choosing a lifestyle so far off the beaten path? Now, I'm not sure what you're referring to here. If you're talking about the transgender thing,
the way we eat, where we live.
No, what are you saying? Like
how
the lifestyle so far off the beaten path. So we talk a lot about diet on this channel. Now, we don't really see that as super like extreme. It's just the way we choose to eat. So if you're referring to diet, yeah, I mean, diet's an easy one. I mean, it's a personal thing. The food you choose to eat. Just made a video about social situations and how people use social gatherings or whatever as an excuse for not maintaining momentum towards their goal and being able to maintain a diet. Now, I mean, one of the biggest hurdles I would say that most people have to overcome when choosing a dietary lifestyle choice, or making a dietary lifestyle choice that is not in line with their peer group maybe, or some of their friends and family, one of the biggest internal hurdles would just be that, would probably be social situations, be their own insecurities, putting too much importance on false ideals of how you should be needing to please people and fit in and stuff like that. But I mean, that also reflects on everything else. Any choice you make, anytime you're going to make a decision, like, I mean, having a kid these days, if you're under 40 years old and you have a kid, people act like it's, oh, your life's over. Like, it's such a crazy decision. I can't believe you have kids. It's like the most awesome thing ever. It's like the most rewarding experience that one could ever have here. You know, it's just becoming a parent, or starting a family. But I think it's just fear. I mean, the people have so much fear about everything, and we allow ourselves to be boxed in and put behind these layers of false personality and whatnot. And anytime you're going to make a decision that's going to change your life, you're going to be dealing with layers of your personality that are false, and you're going to have to look at it and face it. You're going to have to find some way that you can deal with what you're trying to hide from yourself. And anytime you're making a decision to do something that's outside of your normal bubble, your security inside this false bubble is going to feel threatened, and these illusions are going to feel threatened, and they're going to scramble for, to maintain power in your life.
Very much. As soon as you start to get out of your comfort zone, there'll be things that want to pull you back in there because it's safe and because
you're used to
so
it.
Well
You're
known.
addicted to your little bubble. You're addicted to the personality that you've created around yourself, whether it's real or not. And the bubble that it creates, the reactions that you get from other people, your reactions to stimulus around you, it's comforting because it's the norm. Now, breaking outside of that norm can be really uncomfortable for people, which is why people are so guarded against. A lot of people are very aggressive when there's new ideas that might threaten their old paradigm, because it's like you're threatening a whole way of life. But it's not really what's going on. That's just the illusion that gets created to maintain the comfort in the bubble, because nobody really wants to change when you can maintain that comfy little bubble.
But if you do want to change, you
bouncing off
have
the
your
walls.
goals, and you have, the stimulus that's telling you to change, and you have, whatever health issues, you see somebody else, you want to emulate them, like whatever is drawing you to move forward in your life. You have that, and that's your inspiration. So you set your goals, and you stay determined, and you stick with it.
Yeah, it's like your desire to change, your desire to reach your goal has to be stronger than your desire to stay inside of your comfort zone and stay behind. That's what it's going to be, a constant battle of your will against the old layers that just want to kind of keep you inside that bubble. It's comfortable, it's familiar, it's like, but a lot of times we paint ourselves into a corner when we do that, and that's how we drive ourselves crazy, just trying to stay in those little bubbles. And anything that threatens that bubble, people will just go nuts. You have to realize, you have to start to make conscious your reaction to these things. And no matter what you're trying to do, in order to grow, we have to break outside of our comfort zone, and we have to realize that there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear outside that comfort zone.
And that's how you start to build momentum. You learn once you break out, and it becomes easier. And every step you take forward is easier because you have the momentum behind you. And you have the experience.
Yeah, so I mean, all right, so here's the question again. What's your biggest internal hurdle to overcome when choosing a lifestyle so far off the beaten path? I would say that anybody's biggest internal hurdle is going to be the illusions they've created around themselves to maintain their comfort and security in the false bubble and the false reality that they're trying to break out of. So that's the biggest hurdle, is getting through the illusions. And that's
It's a life work. I mean, it can be.
Yeah, it takes all of your force, all of your strength to really get through that, to really see yourself for more of what you really are than you're currently seeing, and break through those bubbles and break through those barriers to move forward.
And it's all worth it. I mean, this is our life that we get to live.
So here's another question from Casey. He asks, are there special concerns for those who can't consume any dairy or eggs as far as vitamins or minerals? If those foods are omitted, If those foods are omitted, would you suggest focus on certain other foods or supplements? So, if somebody can't have dairy or can't have eggs due to sensitivity, they're going to be missing out on other nutrients. I would say some other nutrients that you may want to prioritize would be choline. Eggs are a really good source of choline. Of course, you want to have all your macronutrients covered. Make sure you're getting sufficient proteins, fats, getting magnesium and potassium, but that's not something you're going to be getting from eggs and dairy. Something you will be missing out on, and that most people are missing on anyways, is vitamin K2. So vitamin K2, especially in the form of like MK4, MK7, you can find certain formulations that are combined that will have both forms of it in one pill. Vitamin K is really important. Depending on your lifestyle, something like a vitamin D supplement might be in order, but if you're getting sufficient sunlight, that's going to give you more than enough vitamin D is the best way to get vitamin D in. So yeah, I would say vitamin K, and then just make sure you're getting organ meats in, eating things like liver, brain, heart. Any other suggestions of foods? I mean, getting in lots of seafoods, like getting in the omega-3 fatty acids, the DHA and the EPA from seafood is going to be really important. But yeah, eggs and dairy, you can totally do without it. I would say make sure you're getting vitamin K is going to be important.
I always like to recommend fermented foods too.
Yeah.
Fermented vegetables, fermented drinks. You can make, if you get water kefir, you can make an herbal tea and put that in there. It'll give it a little spritz.
All right, so I think that's all the questions. Thanks for joining us for another Q&A. And you can find us at www.primaledgehealth.com. Got a bunch more content, got a few products. If you're interested in coaching, you can hit us up through the coaching form. Anything you got to say?
No, it's been great.
All
Great
right.
questions. Keep on changing your changes.
Keep on changing your changes.
Following your changes.
Keep changing your changes. All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.